الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم، وبارك على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. أما بعد, inshallah, today it is the 21st of Jumada al-Ula 1438, matching the 18th of February 2017. And as usual, we are starting with الداء الدواء, the disease and the cure, by Al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim alayhi rahmatullahi ta'ala. Last time we stopped at him explaining that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the creation for worshipping Him alone, singling Him out with worship subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we said that since association of partners in worship with Allah, yani worshipping other than Allah, is the most, in terms of contradicting what Allah created the universe for, right? Worshipping others besides Allah. This, since it goes against the very reason why Allah created the universe, at-Tawheed, then it is the worst and most heinous type of a sin. And it is akbarul kabair. It is the most major of the major sins. And he mentioned there that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refused to accept any action from a mushrik in the akhirah. Anything that they do is not going to benefit them in the next life. He does not accept any intercessor. Any intercession done on behalf of the mushrik is not acceptable. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not answer any dua, any supplication for the mushrik that is in the next life. Allah does not forgive any mistake, any sin of a mushrik in the next life. Even in this worldly life, he mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed the blood, the wealth, and the family of the mushrik. That is only, of course, through the true and correct jihad fi sabilillah. And we mentioned the issue of slavery, and we went a little bit furthermore on that issue since it was revived by the group that you know these days. And we mentioned then that the scholars said that this issue of enslavement is not abrogated in the legislation, but then, as we mentioned from the Sheikh Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Hajawi al-Tha'alibi rahimahullah ta'ala, was a very famous, very well-known scholar from Morocco, the author of a book on the history of legislation, Al-Fikr al-Sami fi Tarikh al-Fiqh al-Islami. And we mentioned the statement of Sheikh Muhammad Nasr al-Din al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala, in which he said that slavery is allowed. It is not an obligation. It is not an obligation, yani it's not wajib, and it's not recommended, mustahab, right? So then, if the nations agree that if they get into a war, and then they will not imprison the prisoners, they will not enslave the captives, then Islam does not go against that. Islam does not go against that. Actually, in Islam, you find a great encouragement to freeing of the slaves. So if the whole universe or the people in a certain time, they agreed that they will not enslave each other, then there is nothing to go against this, Islamically speaking, let alone a group that comes on its own and declares itself as a khilafah and declares their leader as the khalifa, and they go on with the little means and the little land that they took over, they start enslaving others, sometimes even not even according to the rules, right? Not even according to the rules, right? Even the rules that they're supposed to apply to reach that, they're not applying the rules. Plus, add to that the fact that the Muslims in general, they went into agreement, they accepted this covenant or agreement with the non-Muslims that they will not enslave each other. So then those people, they have no grounds whatsoever. I felt we had to explain that because we are going through words from a scholar who lived many centuries in the past, and at that time slavery was there, right? As you know, the slavery was not agreed to be ended except in the last century, right? That's how it is. So here he goes on to say, وقعت مسألة ووقعت مسألة. Here's an issue that happened, وهي a question that came up. أن المشرك إنما قصده تعظيم جناب الرب تبارك وتعالى. That the one who worships someone besides Allah, he only intended to glorify Allah's side, subhanahu wa ta'ala. وأنه لعظمته لا ينبغي الدخول عليه إلا بالوسائط والشفعاء. And that because Allah is so great, you should not enter upon him except through intermediaries, except through mediums, and except through intercessors. كحال الملوك, like the condition of the kings. See, now if you have a king you want to speak to, you want to ask him for something, you don't just go, give me the king, hello, get the king, I want to talk to the king. It doesn't happen like that, right? You have to go through different channels, smaller channels that will take you up to the hierarchy. Maybe you will reach and maybe you will not reach, right? Presidents and so on and so forth. So the mushrikeen, they made this qiyas, this analogy, which is a false type of analogy. Since Allah is so great, you cannot go directly to him. You have to go through some other means, some other channels, some smaller, like mediums, intermediaries, right? So now he's saying, this is the question. The mushrik, he did not mean لم يقصد الاستهانة بجناب الربوبية. He did not intend to look down upon Allah's, the lordship side, right? The aspect of the lordship. He did not, by associating partners, he did not mean to bring down or look down upon the Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. وإنما قصد تعظيمه. Rather, he only intended to glorify him. وقال, he said, إنما أعبد هذه الوسائط لتقربني إليه وتدلني وتدخلني عليه فهو المقصود. He said that this mushrik is saying, I'm only worshipping those mediums, those intermediaries, to bring me closer to him, to guide me to him, and to make me enter upon him. فهو المقصود وهذه وسائل وشفعاء. So he is the one who is intended, he is the objective, and those are only means and intercessors. فلما كان هذا القدر موجبا لسخطه وغضبه تبارك وتعالى. Why is it that this amount that they had, this measure of their intention and objective, why was it necessitating and making it compulsory for them, for the mushrikeen, the wrath and the anger of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala? Why is it that this amount of shirk made the mushrik مخلدا في النار, perpetually staying in the fire, موجبا لسفك دماء أصحابه واستباحة حريمهم وأموالهم. And this shirk necessitated and made it a must to shed their blood, the blood of the people who are committing shirk, and allowing their women and their wealth. And I don't need to repeat what was said from last week about this piece, right? ويترتب على هذا سؤال آخر. So now he is asking, this mushrik, he wanted to glorify Allah by committing shirk. Why is this shirk making him in the fire perpetually, forever? This is the question. ويترتب على هذا سؤال آخر. Now, after asking this question now, as a consequence of the first question, right, there comes now a next question, and that is, وهو أنه هل يجوز أن يشرع الله سبحانه لعباده التقرب إليه بالشفعاء والوسائط? Is it then allowable that Allah will legislate for His servants to get closer to Him through the intercessors and the intermediaries? فيكون تحريم هذا إنما استفيد من الشرع. Then the prohibition of this is only derived and benefited from the legislation. أم ذلك قبيح من الفطر والعقول يمتنع أن تأتي به شريعة. Or that is actually something that is viewed horrible, viewed to be ugly by the innate nature of the humans and by the sound intellect, the basic sound understanding that makes it impossible that any legislation will come with this. Rather, بل جاءت الشرائع بتقرير ما في الفطر والعقول من قبحه. Rather, the legislation has come, or the legislations that Allah legislated have come to establish what is already there in the fitra, in the human nature, in the innate nature of the human, and in the basic sound intellect of the ugliness of how horrible shirk is, which is more ugly and more horrible than anything that is ugly and horrible. وما السر في كونه لا يغفره من بين سائر الذنوب? What is the secret now that Allah will not forgive this sin at all, period, right? From all of the rest of the sins, Allah does not forgive shirk. Remember, Allah does not forgive shirk to the one who does not repent. He dies as a mushrik. Then in the akhirah, no forgiveness, no acceptance of any good deed. But then, if someone is someone who committed shirk, then he repented and accepted Islam, then shirk is like any other sin. Forgiveness and repentance is accepted, right? But then, what is the secret behind this sin being not forgiven at all from the rest of the sins? كما قال تعالى إن الله لا يغفر أن يشرك به. As Allah Ta'ala said, surely Allah does not forgive association of partners in worship with Him. وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. And He forgives other than that, or what is lesser than that, to whomever He wills. Surah Nisa, ayah 48. He said, فَتَأَمَّلْ هَذَا السؤال. Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, he says now, reflect, examine this question. Why is it that shirk, although the mushrik wants to glorify Allah by committing it, that did not help the mushrik at all. It made him forever in the fire, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And it made Allah so angry with him. The other question based on that is, could it be possible that Allah would legislate this to be one of the means making people getting closer to Him, shirk? Or is it viewed to be as part of the human nature, to view shirk to be ugly and horrible and unacceptable and unsound, completely, and it goes against the sound intellect of the human? right? He says, reflect, examine this question. واجمع قلبك وذهنك على جوابه ولا تستهونه. Get together your heart and your mind for the answer, for the reply to this question, right? And do not look down upon it. لا تستهونه. فإن به يحصل الفرق بين المشركين والموحدين. For through this, by answering this question, you will get the difference between the polytheists and the monotheists, between the ones who worship others besides Allah and those who worship Allah alone without any partner. وَالْعَالِمِينَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْجَاهِلِينَ بِهِ. It differentiates, answering this question, it differentiates between those who are knowledgeable of Allah and those who are ignorant of Him. وَأَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ وَأَهْلِ النَّارِ. It also differentiates between the people of paradise and the people of the fire. He says, فَنَقُولُ بِاللَّهِ وَبِاللَّهِ التَّوْفِيقِ بِاللَّهِ التَّوْفِيقُ وَالتَّأْيِيدِ. We say, now he's going to start replying, but it's going to take a long time. We're going to have different sessions for that. But he's going to take his time clarifying to us the different types of shirk. After finishing shirk, he will go down to the different types of al-kaba'ir, the major sins, up until he reaches the reply to the question which started the whole book. Someone who is completely falling in love, being infatuated with another person. And he knows what he is doing is wrong, completely wrong. But he cannot stop himself from that. And he is afraid for himself that if he goes on and on, he will be completely destroyed. But then he wants a sufficient reply, right, to make him stop, right? And thus we have all of this discussion from the beginning. We still didn't reach, right? Every time he hints to the question and the answer, but the answer to the main question will come towards the very end. But he saw that it was necessary to go through the dua, and that it is a means of the removal of the problems and calamities, right? And then he went through the details of the evil consequences of sins. And then he had to side talk about different issues related to the subject up until we reached here, right? So he says, we say, and from Allah is the facilitation and the support, ta'yid, right? وَمِنْهُ نَسْتَمِدُّ الْمَعُونَةَ وَالتَّسْدِيدِ. And from him we ask for help and to be correct and to be steadfast upon the truth. فَإِنَّهُ مَنْ يَهْدِهِ اللَّهُ فَلَا مُضِلَّ لَهُ. For surely the one whom Allah guides, there is no one that can lead astray. وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ. And whomever Allah leads astray, there is no one that will guide him. وَلَا مَانِعَ لِمَا أَعْطَى. There is no one that can stop or withhold whatever Allah has granted. وَلَا مُعْطِيَ لِمَا مَنَعَ. And there is no one that can give that which Allah has prevented, which Allah has withheld. So he says, we say, الشرك شركان. Shirk is of two types. Shirk is shirkan. Shirk is one, shirkan is two, right? This is the dual now of one shirk, shirkan. This is two types. شرك يتعلق بذات المعبود وأسمائه وصفاته وأفعاله. Shirk, association, that relates to the entity of the God being worshipped. Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah. His names, his attributes, and his actions. Shirk that relates to the entity, the essence, that. The word that. Entity, essence. The word that, many of us know it, even in the different languages they use the word that. entity or essence. Sometimes we use the person, right? The entity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His names and attributes and his actions. وشرك في عبادته ومعاملته. The other type is a shirk in worshipping Allah and dealing with Him. وإن كان صاحبه يعتقد أنه سبحانه لا شريك له. Although the one who falls in it, he believes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has no partner, neither in His that, His essence and entity, nor in His attributes or actions. Right? So we have two types of shirk. Shirk relating to Allah's entity Himself, Allah's that. The second one is shirk in dealing with Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's referring to, as you will hear, to the issue of riya, showing off. So this person, he believes that Allah is one, there is no partner for Him, not in His entity, not in His names and attributes, not in His actions. But he is actually doing the worship to get some sort of gain, worldly gain, right? And he will mention that in detail. I'm just, because it will take a few sessions to reach there. So I'm just giving you a snapshot from now. So الشرك شركان, two types. One that relates to the that of Allah, Allah's entity, and the second one relates to dealing with Allah and worshipping Him. Right? As for the first one, the shirk pertaining to or relating to Allah's that, He says, huwa naw'an. Right? So the first type of shirk relating to Allah's that, Allah's entity, is also two types. أحدهما شرك التعطيل. The first one of the two is the shirk, the association having to do with ta'til. The word ta'til now, from now on, it will show up many times. Ta'til is to put something on hold, to have it be unused, right? So if a woman is wearing a necklace, right? So her neck is muhalla, right? If that is taken off, then her neck is mu'attal, right? There's no ornaments, nothing on it, right? In the Quran, bi'rin mu'attalatin, referring to a water well that is unused, left out, right? So this is the original word, ta'til, mu'attal. Right now we use it if like you are using some sort of a machine and it doesn't work anymore, it's mu'attal, right? Like out of order, mu'attal, right? The car doesn't work, they say it has a atal, some sort of, a problem that make it unfunctioning, right? So this is the linguistic meaning. Now in terms of what we will use now to go on, it's basically denial, stripping Allah Azza wa Jal of the attribute of Him existing or any of His attributes, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we will use the word denial from now on, although it's not exactly the word, right, relating to the Arabic and the English, right? But then this is what we have. And you will see here, he says, وَهُوَ أَقْبَحُ أَنْوَاعِ الشِّرْكِ. It is the most horrible type of shirk. كَشِرْكِ فِرْعَوْنَ. Like the shirk that Fir'aun committed. إِذْ قَالَ, when he said, وَمَا رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And what is the Lord of the worlds? Surah Ash-Shu'ara, ayah number 23. Ash-Shu'ara, the poets, number 23. When Musa alayhi salatu salam, he mentioned Allah, he goes, وَمَا رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. It means what? Denial. That's why I'm using the word for ta'til. You got the original meaning. And this now we're going to use denial for it. Basically, is not is not recognizing or accepting even the existence of Allah, basically. Although Fir'aun, he was saying that, but he knows he was lying. Right? He has juhud, like Iblis, Fir'aun wa Iblis. They know, but they don't want to admit. They don't want to confess. Right? And Allah mentioned this about him. جَحَدُوا بِهَا وَاسْتَيْقَنَتْهَا أَنفُسُهُمْ ظُلْمًا وَعُلُوًّا. They denied them, they denied the signs of Allah, although their souls were certain of it. But then they denied them out of ظُلْمًا, out of transgression, oppression, and out of ulu, pride, viewing themselves to be higher, out of viewing themselves to be superior, right? Ta'ala, ta'ala, he's above the others, right? So here he says, وَمَا رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Also, وَقَالَ تَعَالَى, Allah Ta'ala said, مُخْبِرًا عَنْهُ أَنَّهُ قَالَ لِهَامَانَ. He informed from him that he said to Haman. Who is Haman? Haman? Who is Haman? He is the supporter, the minister, one of the main people, the characters who were helping others. It's funny sometimes people mix the names and then you get Haman radiyallahu, Fir'aun. We need to be careful with these because I've like the Sayyiduna Fir'aun, what Sayyiduna Fir'aun? Yani, you have to be careful about these names, right? طيب. So Haman, Fir'aun said to him, Allah is narrating that in the Quran. وَقَالَ فِرْعَوْنَ. Allah says, this is Surah Ghafir 36 and 37. Surah Ghafir 36 and 37. وَقَالَ فِرْعَوْنُ يَا هَامَانَ. Fir'aun said, O Haman, ibni li sarhan. Build for me a big building, a mansion, right? لَعَلِّي أَبْلُغُ الْأَسْبَابِ. So that I may reach up so high in the sky. يعني the ways in the skies, right? طرق السماء. أسباب السماوات لعلي أسباب السماوات فأطلع إلى إله موسى. Those ways in the skies, in the heavens. So I will take a look at the God of Musa. وإني لأظنه كاذبا. And I surely believe that he is lying. Right? So now he's saying, build for me a building that is so high. He wants better than a skyscraper. So that he will look into the different channels there and make sure of this God that Musa alayhi salatu wasalam is mentioning, that his God is above the seven heavens, right? All the prophets have the same beliefs about Allah. Istawa ala al-arsh, all of them have the same belief, right? So Musa then told, alayhi salatu wasalam, he told Fir'aun, and he told the people, inviting them to Allah, that Allah is high above all of those heavens, right? So Fir'aun, out of ridicule and mockery, he says, build me a so high building so I will go up and check it out, make sure, look at this God that Musa is telling us about. And then, before even, he just commanded Haman to build it. But then he says, and I am sure he's lying. He judged him before going up, right? Just telling you how stubborn and arrogant he was, right? And he is ordering him to build this high building so that he can look. But then he says, I'm sure he's not. He's lying, right? وَالشِّرْكُ وَالتَّعْطِيلُ مُتَلَازِمَانِ. Shirk and ta'til, they necessitate one another. This leads to this one, and this one leads to the other one. Right? The word ta'til now, once again, to put something on hold, to have something to be like non-existent or unused or not in effect. Right? Shirk is worshipping others beside Allah. ta'til is this issue of having Allah non-existent or taking away, canceling an attribute or a name of Allah. He says both of them, they necessitate one another. They lead to one another. He said, فَكُلُّ مُشْرِكٍ مُعَطِّلٍ. Everyone who falls in shirk, a polytheist, worshipping other than Allah, he is falling into ta'til, denial, or believing in the cancellation of some sort of an attribute of Allah Ta'ala. And وَكُلُّ مُعَطِّلٍ مُشْرِكٍ. And everyone who falls into ta'til, denial of Allah Azza wa Jal, then he is mushrik. He has fallen into shirk. He says, لكن الشرك لا يستلزم أصل التعطيل. But shirk, polytheism, worshipping others besides Allah, does not necessitate the origin of denial. He says, بل قد يكون المشرك مقرا بالخالق. But rather, he says that the one who falls into shirk, the one who worships others besides Allah, he may be someone who is affirming the existence of the Creator subhanahu wa sifatih, and also affirming his attributes. ولكنه عطل حق التوحيد. But he put the right of at-tawheed, what the tawheed, the oneness of Allah deserves, right, of the right, he put that right on hold. He made it ineffective. Right? That's what he did. So this is important to understand. Shirk leads to denial. Denial also leads to shirk. They are leading to one another. But then, the fact that someone is a mushrik does not necessarily mean he denies Allah. And we see so many people. Actually, those who deny Allah completely, atheists, there is no God, no creator, no. They are very, very few they become so many in our time. Because our time is a time of fitna, that's all. Many people think that, science and this, they became much smarter than everybody else, right? So they start making up statements that are, out of the ordinary, right? Even one of those people, one time he came up with different things about Islam and he thinks he's very smart, and I asked him, you are denying something basic in Islam. How can you do that? How can you just cancel all of these centuries of many scholars in Islam talking about something basic that is in the Quran and in the Sunnah, basic belief of Muslims? How can you read? He said, well, I stood on the shoulders of giants, and therefore, mashallah, he benefited from those giants on the shoulders of, so he was able to see maybe farther than they did, than the giants did. In other words, I'm smarter than everybody else. Have you heard of anything smart? I'm smarter than anybody else, right? If someone is in this way, you can expect anything from him. Anything. Even he will start, sometime maybe a new religion will come out. He says, and what's wrong with that? I'm fit. Like this person, the guy of the 19 miracle, Rashad Khalifa, originally a computer guy. He was working, he was an engineer in computer engineering and a smart guy in computers, and then he came up with this 19. There is a miracle called 19 in the Quran. This one is 19 letters, and that one is 19 this and that, and if you divide this by that, you get a multiple of 19, and like this. It started like that, and he ended up having his own translation of the Quran and his own religion in the end, and he is somehow a new prophet, a prophet of the Americas, because they became so scientific. This new scientific world needs a prophet who is a scientist himself. Wallahi, al-junun funun, insanity is like, يعني sometimes so many ways and so many things it becomes like it's like artful. They become artful in their insanity. You know, they came up with things sometimes people don't يعني think of, right? So this is the case. So the mushrik may be someone who affirms the existence of Allah and His attributes, yet he does not give the oneness of Allah, the Islamic monotheism, he does not give it its due right. That's the problem of the mushrik. وأصل الشرك وقاعدته التي يرجع إليها هو التعطيل. The base of shirk, the base of association of partners in worship with Allah, the base for that, its basic principle, its foundation that shirk is referring back to or can be referred back to. And you have this shirk, what can you relate it to? The foundation that you can relate it to is at-ta'til itself. Ta'til, denial, the putting something in يعني out of order, out of effect, right? Inactive, having يعني the creator subhanahu wa ta'ala be inactive in any way, shape or يعني that they think. And it is three types of denial. And I will mention the three types today and we'll stop here because we have to do something else after. He says ثلاثة أقسام. This ta'til, denial, is of three types. تعطيل المصنوع عن صانعه وخالقه. To have the one who is created disassociated, separated from his creator, right? That's the first one. To disassociate the creator or the created being from the one who made it, from its maker and creator, right? No, يعني cut the connection between them completely. Second is تعطيل الصانع سبحانه عن كماله المقدس بتعطيل أسمائه وأوصافه وأفعاله. The second is the تعطيل, the denial of the maker himself subhanahu wa ta'ala, denial and disassociating him from his holy perfection, his holy perfection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is perfect and complete, right? So this second type of ta'til is to put some of ta'til asma'ihi wa awsafihi wa af'alihi, to have names of Allah, attributes of Allah, or actions of Allah being disassociated from Him. Denial, يعني to deny them, to deny His names, His attributes, or His actions subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third is تعطيل معاملته عما يجب على العبد من حقيقة التوحيد. The third type of تعطيل is تعطيل معاملته, to cancel, to disassociate oneself from dealing with Allah in a way that is in the way that is compulsory for him, right? Of the reality of Tawheed, the reality of monotheism, right? So the first one, to disassociate the created being from its maker and creator. Cut the connection between them completely, right? Second is يعني the first one, no creator whatsoever, or yeah, he created but he's not looking after anything, as some believe that. The second one, himself subhanahu wa ta'ala, stripping him out of or cancelling out his names or attributes or his actions. The third one is a ta'til, right? Being ineffective, right? Being in a state of disassociation in terms of dealing with him subhanahu wa ta'ala, dealing with him the way he should be dealt with in terms of tawheed, worshipping him alone. So this denial here refers to worshipping others besides him subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will stop here inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك